right, so welcome to the Admin Start of Year Refresher and what's new in NCEES. The bit.ly is in the chat and on the screen, so it's bit.ly/ASYR22-23. And let's do introductions. So I am Cammie Nairn. I do work for Digital Teaching and Learning at NCDPI on the home-based team, and I do manage the NCEES system, the North Carolina Educator Effectiveness System, where we do our teacher evaluations and professional development. And I'll let my colleague who handles our policy side of the questions for NCEES introduce herself. Miss Jennifer.
Good afternoon, everybody. I am Jennifer Bass, and I also work at DPI in the Educator Standards and Evaluation Division. I, as Cammie said, pretty much handle the NCEES policy questions. So thank you for joining us this afternoon.
All right. Thank you, guys. So this webinar is for administrators. We are using WebEx, which I think most of you have been used to joining us in WebEx now. So, but if you do want to see captions, I have updated our little bar. It looks a little different. It used to have a little Martian guy on it. Now it's got like a little circle and then the closed captions where you can actually see the captions on the screen. So you can use that. You're welcome to share your video. You don't have to. If it gets a little in and out, I will turn my video off so we can keep going. But you can also ask questions in the chat. It's fine with me. So we can stay in the chat to ask questions. You can post them to everyone or to just me. Usually it's a question everybody wants to know, so please try to post most of the questions to everyone. You can also use Q&A if you want to ask a private question. Just want to let you all know we did hold home-based meetups, our kickoff in July. NCEES met July 25th, and I did want to give you the links to that. A lot of what we're covering today we did cover at home-based meetups. So hopefully we'll have some other folks here today as well, and we'll go through those slides. But here's your link to our home-based meetup slides and the recording. And if you work with any of our other home-based products, those are all linked there as well. Our next one is going to be face-to-face. So we will be going out the September 26th through September 29th. Starting on the East Coast on the 26th and moving our way in the regions across the state. So 26th will be on the East Coast, and then 29th will end up on the west side of North Carolina. So each of those we're excited to get out and be face-to-face. It's been a long time. So we are going to look at how your staff provision access to NCEES. I've actually had several emails today about this, so I hope this is timely for you guys. And then how to manage them on your My Staff rosters, how to set the plan types, how to set your staff access rights to the plans, how to verify staff have started their plans, and then a little bit about reporting that's available to administrators in NCEES. And then we're going to tell you what's new in NCEES. Not a whole lot has changed from last year, so there are a few updates to share with you. And then some links to our resources for you. And of course, anytime, we don't have a large group. I think we've got about 11 or 12 here right now. Please do. We scheduled this for an hour and a half because last time we did it last year, an hour seemed a little bit short. So we're going to take our time and go through NCEES and answer any question you have. Please either put it in the chat or unmute and just ask it out loud. Somebody wants me to share the slides. Yes. Let me get that for you. All right, and there's the link to the slides in the chat. All right, so if everybody's good to go, we're going to go ahead and get started about talking about how we provision staff access into NCEES. So I wanted you to take a quick look first at the My Staff page. This is where your staff roster is found, and we'll go live later and look at some of this live. But I wanted you to know that your staff roster shows up on the My Staff page. Depending on your access, if you're a site administrator, you'll probably just have access to one school, maybe two. If you're the district administrator that's managing NCEES, then you can choose your schools or county level from the top bar at the top of this page that I'm circling with my yellow arrow there. So your staff roster will be down below, and we want to figure out, we're going to look at this profile under this drop down by this teacher. Where does all this information come from? Where does the username or the employee ID or the email addresses, or how does all this get figured out? The certification year and the classification types. All of this actually comes from our source systems for NCEES. None of that is just manually set up in NCEES. It is populated first in other systems. So here's the link to we've recently updated this document. It's now NCEES Data V8, and we'll talk about why shortly. But I just wanted to show you that, and maybe I might need to turn my video off. Oh, it won't let me click on the link. So let me put that link, the long link, in the chat. So this is NCEES Data V8. The top part hasn't changed at all. The top part tells you what source systems populate staff into NCEES. And the main source systems are, this is big enough for you, are UID, and that's a lot of districts call that CEDARS, is NCDPI's staff UID or staff identification system. This gets populated by data that comes from your payroll. And then HR data, if you are a Link HR district or an HRMS district, they should already be uploading your HR data. If you are not using Link HR charters, if I have any charters here today, you should be manually uploading your HR data. And I have a document for that I will show you in a minute. I will have to get you a username and password, so just let me know. So Link HR, and we'll talk about what data comes from HR as well. And then finally, we also pull from PowerSchool, and this is authoritative for staff emails. We also pull data from licensure, and that's your expiration dates for licenses. So I do have a graphic, and I might need to, let me see if I can make this top part smaller. And zoom back out just a smidge. So here is just a graphic of where all this data comes from. If you start down with the payroll green section right there, it tells you what comes from payroll, and that is the 10-digit UID number that everybody is given when they come onto a school system brand new. You use your 10-digit UID. When you change districts, your UID goes with you. So you only need to get a new UID that first time. The payroll also determines if you're active or inactive. It has your official certified name, last name, first name, and middle name, and this is, most districts go by that you must match what's on your certificate. So those should be your certified names that's on your certificate. And then the role actually comes from the salary code that's in payroll. And they have object code and purpose codes, and we'll talk more about that in a minute. But that defines your role that when it gets to NCEES. It also lists what location you are at. Are you at the county level in your district? Are you a charter at just a single location? Or are you at a school in an LEA? All of that gets exported from payroll and is uploaded to staff UID. And then it comes towards NCEES once it's in staff UID. So if you have names that need updated or email addresses, we'll talk about those in just a second. We need to look at these source systems first. So I always go out and check staff UID and see if it's correct there. And if it's not correct there, then we're going to go back and have you talk to your payroll folks. So you can see the same fields from payroll are now in staff UID, and they go to our DPI operational data store. The operational data store is also getting our email addresses from PowerSchool SIS, the Student Information System. As most of our teachers are in the Student Information System, that is where the authority for the email address is coming from. If there are staff that are in NCEES that aren't in the SIS system, The email then comes from the HR data, so it has to be correct in both places. The primary location is initially defined by the HR data. If you're employed at 3 different schools in your district, which one is primary? That should be marked in that HR data. And then the classification code is about whether you are a probationary beginning teacher, so that would be defined as comprehensive classification, or are you a career teacher? That would be defined as a standard classification. So we'll talk more about that in just a second too. And then finally, of course, licensure sends those license expiration dates. It all goes to the operational data store. We calculate your license cycle year. You're on year 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5. And then it goes to NCEES every night. So this is the time frame. If any of you are working in HR, this is when we pull. So if data does need to be fixed in UID, it does need to happen before 4 p.m. because we start pulling the UID data at 4 p.m. So that needs to be updated by 4. The other systems we pull between 9:45 and 11. The person import file is then created and sent to the vendor. The vendor picks it up early in the morning and they process it into NCEES by 2 a.m., so sometime around then. And we're going to go over the rest of this. These are the fields and where the authoritative system is for the employee ID or the username or their status. See, most of these are going to be your UID system. Okay. So that's your NCEES Data V8. That is a very important document to keep on hand for you NCEES leads and to share with your HR and payroll. This next document is the HR data elements. So remember, if you are in Link HR, we pull that data first and then we pull the HRMS data. If your district has changed between Link and HR and HRMS, sometimes if that data is not cleaned up in the old system, then it pulls the old data. So just FYI for those of you that are wondering why sometimes the HR data is not correct. You may have overlapping data still in the tables. So this is just a quick look. I know most of you probably aren't working with this, but if you are uploading HR data, this is the form you need to use if you are not using Link HR or HRMS. And if you're like a school that needs to do this, that's not a charter schools, you do not need to fill out the pre-K teacher column or the primary location because you are the primary location. And then there's the directions on how to upload it, and you just need to contact me for your username and password to upload the HR data. So there is some career statuses in here, and we have a slide to talk about those career statuses in a few slides. And then if you're totally brand new and you're just starting to manage NCEES, I do have a welcome letter over here that covers all of this, and then maybe some little tasks, steps by steps that you can do to make sure you are updating NCEES or updating the source systems for NCEES correctly so that your staff are accessing NCEES. So when does your staff show up active for NCEES? This is up to your district. Some districts say we're not going to make our new staff active until the first day of employment. Other districts say, well, I have some beginning teachers. They need to access PD and NCEES before the first day of school. So our district is going to okay that we make them active in staff UID before that first payday. So this statement here from staff UID is kind of telling you that you can, if it's up to your district, you can set those folks active and get them a UID or use their current UID and make them active so that they can access either PowerSchool, SchoolNet, NCEES, or other subsystems that they need access to, even before they receive a paycheck. A few years ago, they didn't add anybody active until the first 30 days was paid out, but all that has changed. Many districts I know do wait until that first employment day for the teachers, but there are several others who are now making staff active so that they can do PD or other things in our systems. So again, share that as needed, but DPI is not saying what day for your district to start being active in staff UID. So again, the data system sources for staff is our nightly person import file. We only pick up staff with valid object and purpose codes, so you please ensure your users are coded appropriately in the UID staff system. We just looked at that. So here let's talk about the budget codes in the chart of accounts. On the very first page, if you'll notice, we are bringing in administrative staff and instructional staff. And notice that your instructional staff includes some staff that you may say are support staff, but because of their definition of their job, they fall under instructional. So when NCEES was set up, all of these folks come in as instructional, and you should leave it as instructional, especially now because we have new folks coming in the system just for accessing PD, and we're going to tell you about them in just a minute. But so our administrative staff, they're all certified roles except for one, and that's this 153. So if you're managing NCEES and you're classified staff, you will want to have a budget code of 153. We do have some staff still in here that were, when the system was set up, that are probably using 151 or 152, but currently the only approved code by accountability and school business is 153, and we have grandfathered in the others, but if you ever do lose access, you will need the budget code 153 to get in. 111 is your superintendents. 114, this is a major one. The system does give this person extra rights, so we're going to talk about that. Your principals, your head principals are 114. Your APs are going to be 116 or 117. And then, of course, your teachers, or mainly teacher classroom, is going to be code 121, and they are all certified. Here's links to our purpose codes and object code summaries if you want to know more about what each one of these numbers defines. So some of these do need object code, which is 3 digits, plus a purpose code, which is 4 digits to define the role. So all of these fall under 131, but we had to use the purpose codes to define the role. We are going to be working over the next month and a half to be doing the subcodes. So like under 6300, you have 6301, 6302. We are going to be working with our IT department to see if we can map in those 6301s, 6302s and mask them to look like to NCEES like they're 6300. This is done for the accountability system, and we're going to see if we can also do that for NCEES. So because right now, if a district social worker has 6301, they are not getting in NCEES. They must have 6300 right now to get in NCEES. Any questions about that? Okay. All right, and here's the reason I've asked you not to change anybody to support. I did go through the system and change everybody that had been manually changed to support back to instructional or administrative, depending on their job. Now we are going to be adding this support area, or we have added it, to bring in some additional people so that they can access the professional development that DPI offers in NCEES. So these are the budget codes on the left that are bringing in new roles, so instructional support to pre-K. And all of these roles fall under the Exceptional Children's Department. This is a pilot that we're doing, and it seems to be working really well. So I'm hoping to start adding some additional roles under support for folks that need to access PD. And I'll need to hear from my leads out in the field, what are some of those additional codes that need to get in? Like I've heard like 122s, the people that are on track to get licensed. Now I will tell you, if they are on track to get licensed in the current school year, you can go ahead and use budget code 121. Whoever's reconciling the accountability for those budget codes needs to put in the reason why they're using 121, because they will be earning their certification this school year. So you can go ahead and get those folks into NCEES. But these are your support roles. They will not be assigned plans. And we're going to look at my staff and show you how to filter them out so that they're not getting plans. However, even if they were mistakenly assigned plans, they will never see plans. So at the bottom of the screen, I've included a picture of what they will see. They will see home, the help guides, professional development so they can search for courses, my courses so they can manage their courses, transfer credit manager if their district is using that to allow them to submit outside credit for approval in NCEES, the mobile app if their district is using local PD and want to take attendance for their PD. And then the NCEES history is actually the same as my evaluations. So if these staff have ever had past plans in NCEES, they can still come out here under NCEES history and go access their past plans. I did create a one-pager, and this one-pager is actually good to share with anybody that wants to know how to access PD in the system. The first links on this one-pager, let me copy that link and put it in the chat. This one-pager has the links for how to access home-based PD system, of 8-minute video on how to search for and find PD, then how to manage your courses, these are documents, and then how to get into NCEES to get to your transcript and certificate. This last link is really only for the PD only folks. It is a help guide on your navigation tabs that you see. The other staff are going to see other areas. They're going to see my evaluations and different areas like that. So that's the only link that's really specifically for PD only, that last one. And then of course I've linked our NCEES data V8 here for the administrators so they know which staff is which. And in the bottom right corner is a link to our self-paced courses that are in NCEES. So as long as you keep this other one-pager on hand for all your staff, they can go get a list of the courses that are self-paced and available and published in NCEES currently. I just updated this like a week and a half, 2 weeks ago. Let me see if we have any questions. Okay. All right, so we talked about those budget codes and that they're exported from payroll and they're uploaded to Staff UID. And in these gray graphics, this is what Staff UID looks like on the vocational tab. So this is where I go check to see why somebody is or is not getting into NCEES. The top gray bar is going to tell the location. The hire date is usually important because it will tell which one to look at first. The annual salary field is actually the budget codes. So the first 3 digits are the object codes and the last 4 are the purpose codes. And you can see in this record here that I've written this record doesn't go to NCEES. It's because it has a 142 and we are not picking up any 142s in right now for this record. Then the next one down is this staff active at this location, yes or no? And when was the last time this was updated? 2013. So if I'm looking up here and I've got a record updated in 2013 for Charlotte Mecklenburg Schools at Ashley Park Elementary, and then I've got Charlotte Secondary School, a charter that updated a record in 2020 down here at the bottom with the teacher code, this record does go to NCEES. Potentially this record should say no, this staff is no longer at this school. So districts do need to go check their UID and make sure the correct staff are active yes there or active no. But since this record is not going to NCEES, it's going to pick up the ones that have the 121s on them. So both of these records are coming into NCEES. One of them is incorrect. So this is where we need to go back to see which district is actually currently active. I'm going to say it's probably the charter school because it's the most recent last update date. But the issue with this is since both of these have a 121, both of them have yes, both records are going into NCEES, both school names are going on this staff's plan, which then causes issue down the road. because we can't tell just by the way the names are listed, they're listed alphabetically, which district actually owns this plan in NCEES. So this is why this really stress for districts to keep their data clean and make sure you've got the right records in here. And then also, if your staff are part-timing with NC Virtual Public School, they're very good about not making them active with a budget code, but here's one that did have an issue where accidentally they had a budget code and an active yes for this staff as a teacher, but they were actually also a principal at their home school. So then this, because of these principal rights, they could see all the staff at NCVPS. So there's an issue with access rights if these are not kept clean. So this is where NCVPS came out here and removed the salary code because they already had a homeschool that had a salary code that they were working with. All right, hope that makes some sense for y'all. Any questions about what we see in UID and why it needs to be clean? Okay, we're going to jump over to the HR data. The order that NCEES gets the HR data, it looks at link HR table first and sends that to NCDPI. Then it looks at HRMS data table, and then we are looking at the classification codes to see and determine what is going to get updated in NCEES. If you're on another HR system, we said this a while ago, you must be manually uploading that data to NCDPI. You just need to contact me for that. So when I look in a staff profile, I expand this demographics, and sadly, NCEES lists this alphabetical. So I've tried to highlight what goes together in here. So certification year goes with licensure cycle year 1. Here's that classification code, and it says it's comprehensive. And then this staff is also on an evaluation type of comprehensive. So that matches, so that's probably coming in okay. But if it says classification comprehensive and evaluation type standard or abbreviated, then this classification data is coming in incorrectly. So the classification is in this purple box. Career status is coded as CLC. Beginning teacher can be CLB, CLP, CTB, and then we also have the interim teacher, CLT. And it takes these codes and defines whether you have career status or probationary. Career status is going to put the standard under classification. Probationary is going to put comprehensive under there. So this is where you need to go then to your HR data and see what codes you're sending. So as we were trying to troubleshoot this a year or two ago, we learned that districts are allowed to localize their classification codes. So if your district is changing these codes or appending them in any way, NCEES is not going to recognize them. It's only looking for the codes you see on the screen. So we always tell teachers, or tell you to tell your teachers, that this is not authoritative in NCEES. It will show in their profile, and it does show some on some of the reports that are printed out that teachers see. So, but it's not defining that they are comprehensive unless you are sending the correct codes. And then I put some links here for HRMS help about how that is updated in HRMS if you are an HRMS district. Do you guys have any questions about the HR data? I know every year we get questions from teachers that see that in there and they say, well, I'm on abbreviated plan or I'm standard, but it's saying I'm comprehensive. It's not authoritative in NCEES. Okay. So we're going to access NCEES through our single sign-on system, NCED Cloud, also called IAM, also has Rapid Identity up there. So you recently noticed, if you've been logging in, that this was updated this summer, so it does look a little bit different. You're still logging in with your UID on the first section, and then you're going to put in your password and click Go, and the dashboard will load up, and this is where it looks really different. So the icon boxes are bigger. There's a little bit additional information in there. You can bookmark these and then maybe say under the applications area in the dashboard to show just your dashboard favorites. And then you'll only see the ones you've marked favorite, especially if you have a lot of icons to go through. But we're going to look for the NCEES icon. It looks like the PowerSchool cyan letter P. PowerSchool is our vendor. They own NCEES. And so we were going to click that and go into NCEES. If you have teachers that have never, ever, ever been in NCEES Cloud, then they're going to have to claim their account first. And you should have a staff that is working with them to follow that process. All right, so once you get in there, what do you see? I just wanted to give you a few of the admin types, the access levels that are in NCEES. If you're coming in as a user, you're going to see me, myself, and I. You're only going to see your data unless somebody manually assigns you other rights to other people's plans. So I see me, myself, and I come in as a user. This is every role in NCEES except site administrators. So who are my site administrators? The site administrator with the evaluator role assignment comes in from budget code 114, your head principals. They are automatically system assigned to be site administrators. They see their location. They see all the people in their location, in their school, and they see all the plans that have been assigned. Not only that, secondary, they also get the evaluator assignment access. So not only do they see everybody, they are set as the evaluator of everybody that has a plan in their location. Any questions about that? The district administrator, this is the person that's the reopener. When plan activities get locked or closed or completed, somebody needs to go fix something or have it reopened to add something. You usually go to your district administrator because most of those have the reopen rights. Reopen comes with archive and delete rights as well. This person is also the main reporter. Site administrators can run reports for their location only, but the district administrator can run reports for the whole district, and they can also build ad hoc reports. So they are our reporter in the system. I manually assign your first district administrator. And then that district administrator is responsible for assigning other district administrators. And finally, there's my area of access, and that's the super user. And so I have that, and when you open tickets with our support desk, they are super users so that they can get in there and they can troubleshoot NCEES and see what you see. So I always get the question, can my assistant principals be site admins? And usually this question comes from our largest districts. Yes, you can set your assistant principals to be site administrators. This does have to be done by the district administrator, and there's the steps to go do that. And so when you assign an assistant principal to be site administrator, what does that mean? Does that mean now they get to evaluate everybody? It does not. This does not assign evaluator rights. What it does is gives them the ability to assist running reports with the caveat that their reports are only going to return who they have access to. And then they can also assist with the My Staff assigning access rights. So if you need somebody to help you with setting the peers and the mentors, that kind of thing, then it might be good to give an AP the site administrator rights. So just think about that before you do. Some districts say, no, it's only going to be the principal that's going to be our site administrator. Do I need other district administrators? There are a few cases, yes, you do. So the current NCEES DA that I set, and they will have full rights, can set other staff as the admin type of district administrator. The steps for that are in this district administrator guide, and it's on page 3. You can also assign the site administrators. Those steps are on page 5. but we're talking about page 3, district administrators. So follow those steps. It is a 2-step process. First, you have to open up their profile and change their admin type to district administrator. And then once you save that, a new button will show up down below. You have to scroll back down and set the district administrator location. So once that's set, it'll process overnight. You would then, the head DA needs to fill out the form if this new district administrator should be able to help you sign access rights or to assume identity to help troubleshoot the system. Last year, we enabled superintendent roles because the system was initially supposed to do this. When you gave the DA role, DA admin type to a superintendent role, they should now have view-only access to all staff and all staff plans in the districts with no additional rights except reporting. So if you do give a superintendent DA rights, they will not can assign access rights or assume identity. They will not have reopen rights. They will only have view-only rights. They will be able to do reporting. So if you need them to have assign access rights or assume identity, then there's that link to the form again that you go and request those. I check those once or twice a week and make sure I get those updated for you. And if they need reopen rights, those you must manually assign in administration staff management. And remember, delete plans. Deleting a plan means you're deactivating a plan. All right. Y'all still hear me okay? I just heard a sound in my headset. I think we're okay.
Yes, I can still hear you, Cammy.
All right, thank you.
It's a little lower.
Okay. Can you hear me now? All right. I did create a flow chart for district admin rights. So this is if you really get into flow charts, this shows you the process of if I gave an instructor DA rights, what do they get to do? If I give a superintendent DA rights, what do they get to do? So this being slow, but there is a flow chart for you to review, and I'm happy to get on the call with you and walk through any of the flow chart. Whoops, going the wrong way. Sorry about that. Yeah, it doesn't want to. I think I need to turn my video on. So there's that flow chart. If you want to know, if you're a DA and you're running ad hoc reports, you can run a people report to see who can assign access right and can assume identity. And we'll look at ad hoc reports later, but it's the people report where you can check the fields for can assign access rights and can assume identity. It will return results for anybody that has been assigned as a district administrator, so you want to choose that field as well. And then you can see, because this form, I don't know who the lead person is that should be submitting that form. So you may want to go run that report and make sure all your DAs have the correct rights. So, and when they fill out that form, I do ask for who is responsible for filling out that form. So if you're the lead DA and we want to follow up on that, just contact me about that. And we'll run that report for you. You can run that people report and we can get rights updated for you. Okay, so that's all about the source system. If we're ready, we might be going over to the live side in just a second. We're going to look at managing your staff rosters. All right, so here's what it looks like on the screen. We saw this screenshot a while ago, the My Staff page. So let's see if we can get over there to the My Staff page. All right. Okay, are y'all still seeing the screen? You see my nieces now?
We can see it.
Uh-huh.
Okay. All right. So we are on my staff. And notice I just zoomed in and I lost the word my staff. If you're brand new and don't know this, when you zoom in, things fall under these little arrows. So there's my staff link. Click on that, close it. All right. So on this page is the staff management. This is where your roster is going to be. Get one. There we go. So here's one with some staff that I can show you. So this is where your staff roster is going to be. And so you're going to look down this list and look at these names. Now, if I had a bunch of names down here, then there'd be a button over here that I could show more names, or there'd be pages that I could page through on my staff. So I'm going to look at all these names, see if they're ones that are still active at my school. And say this one out here left and went to another district, and I want to know why they're still showing here. How do I get them off? Anybody know? All on the spot. You've been so quiet. You can put it in the chat if you like. So if I have a name showing on the roster page, who do I need to check with? Anybody want to put that in the chat? Y'all are quiet today. Oh, somebody said they're having difficulty hearing. Let me see if I can turn it. All right, let's try that. Let's see if that's a little better. Oh, yes, somebody said, Ms. Katie, I think you said HR. Yes, check with HR and payroll. It's going to be your source system. So this person is still showing up in my roster. It's because they're still active in UID for this location. So I've got my school up here, and I need to go in payroll and then staff UID and make sure they are inactive in both places, and that the budget code is still there, whether they are active or inactive. Because if they remove the budget code, my person import file is not going to know to look at that record to make them inactive in staff UID. So if you talk with your HR and they said, well, in UID they're inactive, then you could come in here if you're the district administrator and look at the profile and edit it and set their account status to inactive. And then save it, put it back because I'm using this one, and save it. And if their name pops back up the next day, then that means UID still has them active, as long as you did it before 4 p.m. So make sure you check on that. But if you set them to inactive and they don't show back up the next day, then they're good in UID. That's just that they blanked out the payroll code or something else. You're going to see your employees' 10-digit UID numbers. You're going to see their positions. This is unknown because it's a test person. So here's administrative, instructional, and there's somebody that's in support. So these are my PD only people down here. They don't get plans, so they should not have plans set here. So I could say no evaluation, no evaluation, no PDP, no PDP. So this tells me that I've looked at these folks. I can set these, or I can come up here, and while I'm setting plan types, I know we're jumping ahead a little bit, but here's where you set your plan types. I could filter out. I click that add filter. I can go to position does not equal support, or does not contain support. I think either one will work. So you do have to type in the word support and click update table. And now I'm no longer seeing my support people. They're still there. I've just got them filtered out. And now I can go through my list and check all my plan types and make sure they're set correctly. So remember, when you're setting your plan types, to pick the plan type and the PDP at the same time, and then allow it to process overnight.
That tells the rubric that's in the self-assessment in the PDP and that's in the evaluation in the standard plan to be a school psychologist rubric. So you have to set it at the same time, or one of them may say teacher rubric, because teacher rubric is default. But if you set these at the same time and let them process overnight, both rubrics should be correct. The principles, you will already see those set. The system is designed to go ahead and look at all the principal roles, the 2 AP roles, and the principal role, and go ahead and assign the principal plan. So you don't need to touch those. But look here, we've mistakenly assigned them a PDP. Now, the system is set to not show that PDP to the principal, but you may want to also go ahead and say no PDP here. So I know I did look at that and fix that. The other thing you want to look at is the sites. So if you see a site here that is not your district, this is where you probably need to get with your school if this person is not working with you to inactivate them at your location, or somebody needs to contact the previous school, the previous location, the previous district, and tell them to inactivate their staff. Because if both of those school districts are listed here, then remember I told you that on this plan, it's going to say this plan was started in both districts, and that is not what's supposed to happen. So you need to either contact your HR payroll or the other district's HR payroll to make sure the staff are in the correct sites. Okay, so that's how to add a filter, how to update your table. You can remove filters here and then update the table. And now I've got my support people back. So if I wanted a list of just my support people, I could add a filter that says that it contains support for the position. Oops. And now I know who's in my system that is just accessing PD. The other thing you can do here is search for names. So if you have a long list and you want only to find teacher 3, I can search for their name. I can just hit enter when I put the words in. I hit enter on my keyboard, and now I've got everybody that's named teacher 3. All right. So the other reason you want to let these plan types populate overnight is for them to then show up to the teachers in their My Evaluation page. They don't see these plans immediately. They must process overnight. The other area that needs these plans to process overnight is when you're setting access rights. And so we would go under Administration Staff Management to set access rights. So we're going to click on that. If you see the Add Administrator button, you have access to set access rights and add other people to give them rights. So here's where I can add somebody. So I clicked Add Administrator. If you think you should have that button, we're going to report ticket and find out why you don't have that. So I just need to search for somebody in the system that needs to maybe be up. And you don't need to fill out all the rest of that stuff. I just put in last name, first name. I'm going to click search. And here I am. Oh, need this one. Click select. And then click finish. And it automatically opens up the rights for the person I'm setting. So I'm setting these rights for Cami and Aaron. They need access to the, let's say, up here. If I look under here, I'm looking to make sure I'm at the right school. And then I want to know which plan do I need a peer on. So maybe I'm going to be a peer on comprehensive plans because it's required there. So remember, I said you're not going to see plans here until they populate it overnight on the My Staff page. Once I've set there, it's going to show me all the people I have assigned the comprehensive evaluation to. And I can either check individual people I need access, this person needs access to, or I can check this top box and it's going to select everybody here. Or maybe I need this person to be a peer. Maybe I'm just a small district. I have one peer that's going to be a peer for everybody, including future hires. So maybe if I'm hiring somebody in November, they're going on the comprehensive plan. How do I need to come back out here and manually assign them? Well, there's another way around that. I'm going to uncheck this. If I leave number 3 blank, it is a dynamic setting. So if I leave it blank, it's going to select everybody in this list, including anybody else hired this year and placed on this same plan. To be the peer observer. So did that make sense? So either select 1, 2, or more, or all, or dynamically set to put it on all and the future people. I'll show you what that looks like. Before I do submit this peer observer, I wanted to show you that we have observer and we have peer observer. Peer observers are the only ones that can sign off on a peer observation. So we have the tab that's in the evaluations. It's called peer observation. This role is the only role that can sign off on a peer observation. If I gave somebody observer, yes, they can get into that observation, but they cannot sign off on a peer observation. This role is for like your APs that are going to be doing observations throughout the year, but not the summary evaluation. So they can access all the observations. They can sign off on the main observations, 1, 2, 3, additional 1, 2, 3, but they cannot sign off on a peer observation. They could start it, but they can't sign off on it. So be very careful about assigning the peer observer. And then notice I don't see mentor here. I'm going to put this back in just a minute. Mentors is only found under the professional development plan. There's my mentor. Let me put it back to comprehensive so I can show you what it looks like when I'm dynamically adding this person to have access to everybody on this list, plus any future hires on the comprehensive plan. Hit add. It says, gives you a warning, this will give access rights to all people, and I'll say, okay. And then it puts it up here at the top, and it says, these rights were assigned on this page. So all staff, I'm just assigned to all staff. Real quick, I know we got a lot to cover. If you want to see past rights to plans, you click this box up here. You do have to scroll. This little window doesn't get any bigger. If you want to give like a superintendent rights to some past plans, let's look at principal real quick. Notice I can't assign principal plans here because that's done in staff evaluations, but I should be able to assign last year principal plans to somebody that needs to see a last year plan. And it comes up as view only. And that's for any plan for last year. You could leave it on Evaluator, but these are archived, so technically they're just getting view only for a last year plan, and then click add. So that's the basics of assigning rights. Any questions about that? Real quick, on this page also, you can, look on here, look at their profile. District administrators, you can edit some things in there. The active statuses, things like that. You don't need to change any passwords. We have the single sign-on system. You don't need to change location. That comes in. A lot of these things, if you update in NCEES, will get overwritten when the nightly person import file comes in. The RBAC viewer is if you're assigning rights to do professional development in a PD office. All right, finally, I do want to show you all staff. So this is a good place to see if somebody has started their plan. It's been assigned, it's processed overnight. I go to all staff. If it says the word start, they have not started their plan. Some districts do go through this list and click in the plan, and it actually opens up the plan and puts it in start status. But now this staff needs to sign in and do their training and orientation and do their observation one. So they needed to start their steps. But some districts do go ahead and do that. Why? Because when the principals are going to go to staff evaluations, there's this warning up here. They're going to come and tell you, I don't see all my staff. They're not in the system. It's because they've been going to staff evaluations, looking for their staff on this page, and they don't see them. It's because the staff has not started the plan and made it active. So we always tell them, go back to my staff, check your list there, go to all staff and see if they've started their plan. So it's up to your district. We tell you to tell them to start the plan. If you're a district that wants to go through and start it for them so they show up on the staff evaluations page, that is available. But if you have a lot of staff, that's a lot of clicking. This is an area to go get to the plan without going to staff evaluations as well. You can also email staff from here. Those are links. As long as they're correct in PowerSchool, they should be coming correct in here.
Cammie, you have a question.
Okay.
Let's see.
Can only the DA start it that way, or can the site administrators do that too? I have not assumed the identity of a site administrator. I would assume that they can if they have the drop down. As long as they have the drop down and see this, then yes, they can click in there. All right, the staff details is the same as the My Staff page, and the evaluations link that y'all see groups your teachers by evaluation. So say I'm working with everybody on abbreviated plan today, I can just go to evaluations, go to abbreviated plan, and now I can get to their plan. So let me do a principal plan. So when we go to staff evaluations, I'm gonna do this real quick so you can have that. If you're setting the evaluator of the head principal, you're going to go to staff evaluations. Again, you have filters here you can use. So I want to find my active plans that are equal to principals and update my table. And now I'm only looking at principals. If I want to email all my principals here, I have check boxes here that I can come all the way down to the bottom and message everybody on this page, or just message the ones I've checked. So I can send them an email or a message in NCEES. I can go into the principal plan to set the evaluator as a DA. Only DAs can do this. You have access to this tab over here. You're the only ones that can see the access rights tab. And you may not see as much as I see, but I know you can see evaluator access. So this is where you click new user. You would search for first and last name, do a search, click the box and add them. And then their name shows up here. So this is for the evaluator of the head principal. If you assign the wrong person or that person's left, you can come back out here and remove the rights. So any questions about where to go sign the evaluator of the head principal? Remember, the head principal does have evaluator access rights to the APs. You are only needing to set access rights to your head principal. And one more tip, this little Head and Shoulders group icon is a member filter. So it's going to show me everybody that's on the same plan type. So I don't have to go out and back in to set all my principal evaluators. So if I have a bunch of principals to set, I just need to open one principal plan, set the evaluator, come up under the group icon, pick my next principal that's got a principal plan, and set that evaluator. Okay, so try to streamline it for you there. All right. Hop back to our slides real quick. All right, so we talked about setting the plan types. Remember, the teacher is the only one that has an abbreviated plan type. Nobody else has abbreviated. They'll have to go on standard in between. Teachers that are on abbreviated, when they're in their renewal year, make sure you put them back on standard or comprehensive, depending on what your district wants. Let's see. Any questions about the plan types? Here's your help guides for setting access rights to plans. Through all that. We talked about making sure their plans are started. We haven't talked about the staff evaluations page. I'm just going to show the screen. But on the staff evaluations page, you have your dashboard. And if you look down below, there are these little circles or NAs. So like this first line here is for the professional development plan. And so if I look under all the PDP columns, I have icons. So gray would be not started. If it's blue, it's in progress. If it's orange with a little arrow returning, it's incomplete for some reason. Either they're almost done with something or somebody reopened that activity. That turns it orange. Or it can be green with a green check mark, like this self-assessment. Once the evaluator locks the activity, then it gets a green check and a lock, like you see right here. The self-assessment is never locked, so teachers can always go back in and reevaluate their self-assessment if they would like. The NAs are because these are for the evaluation plan columns. So the next column down is principal, and principal and teacher plans are in the same columns. So you got observation 1 for teacher would be this column, or the principal initial activity would be there. So you can click on the icons to get to the activities. You don't necessarily have to click the owner name. The only caveat to that is if that activity has not been opened up yet because something needs to be completed first, you're going to get a message that says you're not authorized. It just means come back and open under their name and see why you got that message. It's probably because something needed to be complete in the step before. So it's not going to be open for you to get into. We talked about all staff. All right, so you've got all your plans set, and you need to have, the principals need to have a beginning of year orientation with their staff to discuss questions and gain clarification about NCEES. There is a webinar for North Carolina Teacher Orientation. It's still viable for you to use. We recommend that you do use that orientation recorded webinar. Watch it together at orientation. Principals are also supposed to send a reminder email regarding that meeting and provide a link to the NCEES site. Now, we do have a new NCEES site, so I've provided the link here. The Google site, I'll erase that word Google. This is the Google site. This is going away. This is the site you guys are used to going to. So that is going away. Just want to let you know that it's going away. It's now under this Canvas public site. This is public, so you do not need a blue Canvas account to get in here. So this is now where we move all those links. They're in the Google site. The orientation is going to be found under orientation link there. There's the link to the recording down here. And the link to the recording slides is under resources. I have a question. Can you clarify principals and APs should be listed as principal or AP for plan type, but should not have a PDP type assigned? It should be listed as no PDP. Correct. Principals set their goals in their evaluation. Teachers set their goals in the PDP. So your teachers and other instructional staff are going to set their goals in the PDP. So the principal doesn't need a PDP because their goals are in their evaluation. Hope that helps. Okay. Principals are also supposed to provide a policy link and a rubric link, and then your calendar schedule. I don't know if y'all are in the Google group, but Brian from Buncombe County, our NCEES lead there shared his sample from Buncombe County of the calendar. DPI doesn't designate exactly what dates you should be using, but you need to set a calendar and give your people a time frame of when you expect them to be done with self-assessments, with the PDP initial reviews, with all of those steps. All right, so just wanted to show you where the help guides are located. You have a help guides tab from North Carolina. We do have, and these are updated. This is a little bit older screenshot, but these are updated. You have a guide for your teachers on a comprehensive plan or any staff on a comprehensive plan. We kind of defer to teachers because that is the main amount of people that are in the system. Although everybody should be following those same kind of steps, no matter what their rubric. So, and then there's one for the evaluator, and these are all view and do. So use your respective guide, whether you're the evaluator or observer or the teacher or instructional staff. The peer observer guide is found under the comprehensive section, although any of these plans, these first 4 plans, can have a peer observation. Then you have your standard, your abbreviated, and your late hire plan. If you're hiring staff after mid-year, and they have less than, I think, 120 days, you have the option to put them on a late hire plan and determine if you just need to do 1 evaluation or 2. The summary will open after 1 evaluation in the late hire plan. There's PDP guides out there as well, and principal plan guides. So reporting, and then we can go back and look at any little details if you'd like. So reporting for you guys, what can you do? So staff evaluations tab has the evaluation completion report. You run each plan type and then compare the overall status column to look for staff listed in more than 1 report. Is one thing you can do. It also tells you, have they started their plan? Let me see if I can do that for you. Quick. Let me go be a principal. All right, so if you're a district administrator and you've never assumed identity, I'm getting ready to show you how to do that. All right, so I've got my results, I think. So here's my principal. The assume identity is either this head and shoulders here, or you click on their name and click on the assume identity button. And I am this person, and anything I'm doing is this person. So I do want to go run my report that is on staff evaluations. And we don't have a lot of time today to go over all this. We will have another reporting webinar later on. You can download what's on this page to the CSV. It does respect any filters you've added, but we're going to go look at this one under the graph icon right here. And we're looking at evaluation completion. The rest of these really don't do anything, so go to evaluation completion. This is our most recommended report. You're going to come and look at the plan and choose a plan. So let me try comprehensive. Notice that all the boxes come checked. And if I scroll down, I should have results. I've got 3 in here. So I've got 3 on this plan type. It shows me that 3 are in progress. So all of my folks have started, and none of them are showing under not started. And then I can scroll on down and look at the overall status column to tell me this is one of the only places you'll see whether a plan has not been started. All the other reports in NCEES pull on active plans only. If I only want to see which activities have been locked, I can deselect everything here and then come through and find all my lock activities and run the report with refresh. And I don't have any that are locked right now. So the lock activity reports are good because they tell you that the signatures are in place. As long as signatures are in place, the activity is complete if it said complete here. You can download the spreadsheet here. You can copy and paste into Excel. You can drill down as far as you want to on the different activities, depending on what you've got selected above. There's also a PDF report up here on the right-hand top side. All right, any questions about that report? The other reports out here are under reporting, and I did input in the slides some of the ones you might want to run. This first one, I did want to look at it really quick. So it comes up with the GP status report. So I just click next. If I'm a principal, I'm only going to see school and the schools I have access to. Most of you that are district administrators, you're going to have both. You're going to have district or school. So you can run for the whole district or select a school to run for. Click next. This is a good visual report. So I'm going to just go ahead and stay with comprehensive and click next and click done. I like this just for a visual report. It's really not a good printed report, although there is a PDF up here. I like this one because it just gives me percentages if the superintendent is wanting to know how many people are done with training and orientation. Well, I can look in here and I see that I have 3 people on comprehensive plan, so 100% of them have put it in progress, but nobody is complete with orientation. So I have 100% that are not started their orientation. And so I can drill on down further. I can also click on my school. And I can go by teacher and see what steps they're at. So just a quick visual. And then the other reports under reporting are your quick reports. So that wasn't too fast. I went back to reporting. We're going to choose quick reports. Here's that activity lock report. It's very good to let you know if something's completed. If a step is optional, like your additional observations or the peer in a standard plan, it will never show those blue flowers or the green flowers because they're optional containers. So this is a good way for you to come run this report, the activity lock report. Then you'll know that additional observation 2 is complete because it's been locked. That means all the required steps are done and the signatures are in place. Skip over all the evaluation summaries. Those are end of year. Individuals that belong to more than one site in a district, I would be running now to make sure my HR folks have the right staff in the right place in the source systems. Also, individuals who belong to sites in more than one district. So these are the people that are in more like Johnston County and Harnett County. And they should only be in one of those. So those are the ones you can go troubleshoot those. Your mentor, once you set all your relationships, you can come run this report, but remember, you must have all your staff put their plans in active status. These reports only pull from active status plans. So you may have set somebody to Johnny Smith to be an evaluator on Sally Sue, but it's not going to show up if Sally Sue has not started her report or her plan, sorry. Then you've got observation start and end times, and I've got a whole list in the plans. So those are the main reporting areas that most people use. If you're a district administrator, you are going to also be able to run, and this is the principal, so let me get off of that one. All right, so you can also run under applications, under system administration, ad hoc reporting restricted. And you have several different report types to choose from. I told you about the people report to see who has DA rights. So I'm going to look at that real quick. I know this is really fast. Just keep the fields that you want to show on the report with these boxes. So I do want first and last name. You can deselect or select all. The admin type, I want to pull my district administrators. I want that to show on the report. And then I want to know who has can assign access right and who has can assume identity. It may show system default. If it shows system default, that means they have it. And then just run. After you've set all the fields you wanted to show, just run the report. Or you can save it and run it as often as needed. All right, we're going to go back to the slides, run real quick. All right, so we talked about the evaluation completion report under the staff evaluations tab. We talked about the reporting tab where you went and found those quick reports, and here's your list of good reports to be running now. If you want to schedule reports to run monthly, quarterly, on certain exact dates, you can do that with this help guide, manage and schedule quick reports. And then you can just go ahead and set all the dates those reports need to run, and it will email you when it's run. Select this other module. The GP status report is found under evaluation process current year. That's a good visual report. And then we looked at ad hoc reporting, restricted. The different report guides are here. There are some PowerSchool help links as well. I put those out there too, but I have my guides for you as well. And then we didn't go look at export a plan to PDF, but this is usually used at end of year or when you have those folks coming around for the BT audits. Using that second one, the guide right there, can help you get those record of activity signature reports that are needed for your BT audits. All right, so we got a few minutes, so we're going to go what's new in NCEES. Here is your new NCEES resource site that is replacing our Google site. Here is our Canvas site. I was going to put this in the chat to see if you have access. If you don't have access, you should. If you're active in NCEES. I think we just updated our blue canvas. If you're an administrator, you probably definitely want to go out here. First, check out Getting Started, and then check out Module 1. So I am currently updating for the new year, but most of the beginning of year is already built out, and we're working on middle of year now to get that built out. But Getting Started is good for new folks, or just to have resources for folks that have been around a while. But this is where we're going to house maybe the system side of things. This other one is for the policy and manual side of things. So all your manuals are found under NCEES-resources. And then this one you do have to have an account for. And if you don't, just email me and I'll check you in NCEES and make sure you're also in our blue canvas. But you would go in and on the left bottom, select home-based resources, then select one of our products under home base, and you'll probably want to be getting NCEES. And then you can go into the Getting Started or the modules. We updated the evaluation rubrics to our new link to our new site. All the steps in your activities in the plans should now tell you on screen who does that step. So evaluator/observer or teacher/staff. So all of those should be pretty much updated to let you know, not only in your help guide, but also on the screen, who is doing that step. The little circles with the eyes in them means they're locked and you can't get in them until something before has been completed. And you just hover over the eye and it'll tell you what needs to be done. We also updated the document override process. So occasionally you have staff that refuse to sign off on that observation conference. So there is a document override only on the observation activities so that the plan can be continued. Who can do the document override is your district administrators, your observers, and your evaluators. You decide in your district who to allow to do that, but the system will allow district administrators, evaluators, and observers to do that step. What happened was district deleted. Somebody started the override and then they said, oh, we don't need it. So they tried to delete it, but it deleted other areas in the plan activities because they're all connected. So what we did was have PowerSchool at the end of the year remove this delete button. If anything ever needs to be deleted in that activity, we can open a ticket with PowerSchool. And I won't go through, you can read those other fixes. They're just some minor fixes where evaluator was able to acknowledge the teacher pre-observation conference. Not only the teacher can do that. Your file should now be attached in the attachment areas, things like that. All right, let me copy this link. We appreciate you joining today, and I'm still here for questions. This is our feedback form for today's webinar. If you'll please complete that, we always appreciate your feedback. We still used an hour and a half, so we do have about 7 minutes. So I got plenty of time to go back and look at anything, or if I missed a question that you have, please let me know. These are our webinars that are planned for August. I'll be setting up the September, October ones by next week. So we'll have those links so you can get those on your calendar. Dr. Sox's 2-hour webinar about the teacher rubric is fantastic. It is on demand, so we left it linked here. We do post all our webinars to the NCEES playlist on YouTube. So if you're watching a recording, that's most likely where you're going to go watch the recordings. And we will start back updating our Facebook page soon. We do the Wednesday Did You Know? So those should be getting started soon. Right now we're doing a lot of traveling for the districts and presenting trainings right now, but we'll get those started probably towards the end of August. Here are your contacts. Please do go check your page here and see under support and maintenance, check your district leads, make sure you click in there, and then like here in Alamance, if these are all correct, then we're good. If not, we need somebody to let us know, because this is where we send you if you need to contact another district to contact the person listed as the NCEES lead or so on. And here's my contact information. You're always welcome to set up a calendar office hour with me, or 30 minutes. If it needs to be longer than 30 minutes, just let me know. We'll get that corrected on the calendar. But I'm always happy to meet with you or your team and walk through any questions that you have about NCEES. And do we have any other questions? I feel like I've done all the talking.
I do have a question, Cammie. This is Bianca.
Hey.
How are you doing?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm good. I was trying to click on the link that you posted before you did the feedback one.
And
Instructor
it
said, yes, ma'am. The
one?
courses, and it says that I don't have access to that.
Okay. All right, so that's probably just because I need to go check you in NCEES. And then we will make sure you have an account in Canvas. So let me get sure. Do you mind putting your email in the chat? Or if not, just email me directly. Let me put my email.
Yes, ma'am. I'll put it in there.
If anybody needs to email me that for that same reason, let me know. We'll go ahead and check you and make sure you can get access to the resources for NCEES. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Any other questions?
No, ma'am. Okay. Not from me.
Okay, thank you. All right, well, I'm going to stop recording, but I'm going to stay on for just a couple seconds. Let me stop the recorder. I know some people like to not be on recording. have a great day. You're free to go, or you can hang around, and I'm going to hang around for a few minutes.